Timmy. Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's October 2nd, 2019, and I'm in the eastern part of the First Food Forest. In the eastern part here, we have predominantly Hall's hardy almond trees, which are hardy, very hardy here in Zone 5A, a very cold temperate climate with lots of overcast and heavy snowfall in this area. So these Hall's hardy almonds seem to do pretty darn well here. And we have 3 of the trees that have been producing seed, or nuts as most people would call them, for the last 3 years. We unfortunately have only gotten a scant amount of the almonds as a result of the competition that we have with the chipmunks and squirrels that are here. They're a bit of a challenge. So this year I upped our efforts to try and be more successful with harvesting these almonds. And one of the things we're going to be doing is propagating these seeds and seeing how well we can get new almond trees from these seeds. So 2 tools that we use here are 3-legged ladders, and right now Timmy's demonstrating this 3-legged ladder. These are, we have 2 of them right now. We have a 6-footer and an 8-footer. And throughout almost 90% of our food forest, the 6-footer and the 8-footer work really well with the size and the conformation through pruning for our trees. The 6-footer gets under some of the lower areas and I can work up and through it. But the 3-legged feature of these ladders really makes a big difference. And I know there are several different companies out there. I'll put a link to Lowe's, and I know they have them at Home Depot as well, and on Amazon to some of these 3-legged ladders. They're very stable. They're really beneficial for working in construction if you have open studded walls that one leg can go through, and therefore you're not off balance. But out here in our food forest with the hugelkultur mounds, the mounds that we grow our trees on, the different consistency, the uneven ground, the 3-legged ladders are so much safer than our 4-legged ladders. And the 4-legged ladders I love for doing construction, but these ones here certainly, when I'm out in the field, these are the ones I want to use. Now, our 8-footer isn't tall enough to hit the tops of these trees where I really want to get more almonds. So if you're to search on YouTube how people harvest almonds, the first way, when you think about the large manufacturers, the large industry almond harvesters, what they do is they use a big heavy piece of equipment with a vibrating arm that gently grasps the trunk of the tree and shakes the heck out of the tree, and the almonds basically fall out of the husk or the hull, land on the ground. The majority of them are out of the husk. Some are still in the husk when they fall. And then this large sweeping type machine picks up the little stems, all of the nuts, whether they have hulls or husks on them, or they're just the nuts themselves. And then it goes through another processing where the sticks are separated. And then it goes into a dehulling machine, and then a shelling machine as well. Most homesteaders or small-scale producers of almonds, what they end up usually doing is laying a tarp at the base of the trees, climb up a little ways or reach up and grab a big limb and give it a good shaking, and then pick them up off the tarp. And that works extremely well as well. That's what I wanted to do here the last couple of years. It didn't work out for me because the squirrels, the minute that the hull starts to open up, the husk is open up and you can see the seed inside of it, the squirrels are up those trees and they're harvesting them like crazy. They're just going up and down, and by the time I get out here every day, most of them are gone. So within a week's time, when they're all coming to fruition, when all the seeds are available, I end up with a couple dozen out of a few hundred. So what I elected to do was, one, get myself a couple of ladders, and what I'll probably do is get a 12-foot 3-legged ladder as well, since I do feel so secure on these ladders. And instead of going up and getting a pouch full or a bowl full of nuts at a time, one of the things I use is this Bush Pro forestry system. I'll just step up from the ladder so you can see. So I have a couple of large pouches. These are 8. So the 2 pouches on the sides are about 18 inches deep, or maybe even deeper. And they allow me to, when I'm reaching and grabbing a limb with one hand and then collecting the almonds with the other hand, to set them into this bucket, or when I'm holding the limb in this hand, I can set them into this bucket. I get these things filled right up, and it's quite heavy. And then, oh, Timmy, what are you doing here? And then what I do is I take these pouches, unhook the waist strap, and then it's real easy for me to take one of these pouches and dump it right into a bin on the back of Pepe, our little utility vehicle. And then I can go and start the hulling process. So I'm not waiting for the nuts to get to their optimal point. Many of the seeds that we're collecting, or the nuts that we're collecting, are completely encased in the hull or the husk. So then I go through a dehulling or husking process. And the easiest way that we found to do that is I put about half of a 5 bucket. Take half the volume of a 5-gallon bucket and fill it up just with the almond hulls, seeds that have the hull on them. And then the next thing I do is I just slightly cover the almonds with water. And Timmy's distracting here. And once they're covered a bit, well, I'm going to show you. No, I'm not going to show you. Timmy, you're so distracted, I can't even think of what I'm trying to say here. Yes. Okay, so once I've emptied, oh, now the wind's going to kick up. Okay, so once I've got the almonds with their hull on or husk on, or they're just the seed themselves, I'll fill up a 5-gallon bucket about 50% full, maybe a little bit less than 50% full, and put water in it until the water just barely, I get an inch or so, a few centimeters of water just above the surface of the almonds and their husks. Then what I'm going to do is I'm using a simple little battery operated 20-volt drill, and I'm using a large paddle spinner. This might be used for stirring paint, it might be used for mixing various types of mortar, for putting down tile, it could be used for mixing spackling for drywall as well. I like this one a great deal. There are several different types. There's a spiral type as well. I have one of those. I have one that's a flat disc with little barbs that stick up. But when it comes to beating the hulls or the husks off of hardy shelled nuts, such as the black walnut or the almond or anything else other than like chestnuts, this, oh, Timmy, this paddle works extremely well. Geez, Timmy. So, he's so distracting. So then I use the paddle inside the bucket with a small amount of water on it. And he never gets enough love. And I mix it, and it's just best for me to show you a little bit of a video clip of me doing it. Then once I've done that, and I've gotten beaten the nuts with the hulls, and I see some of the actual shells much more easily visible as I'm going through the process, I dump the bucket. Timmy, come on, handsome. I dump the bucket out onto a 4 foot by 4 foot, 1/2 inch hardware cloth screen that I made. And these screens I use for drying garlic. They're stackable. We dry onions, potatoes, cure lots of things with these drying racks. But I take one of them, just lay it right on the ground, so it's a couple inches right off the ground because of the legs on it. And I just spread out, whether it's the black walnuts or any other nut, the almonds and all. And what I do is I have 2 buckets. One bucket that's the appropriately dehusked or dehulled nuts, and I put them in basically a clean bucket with a little bit of water in it. and the rest of the ones I put back into the original bucket, and I separate it out from all the loose hulls or husks that are sitting there, and I dump that off the screen. Then I repeat the process until all of the nuts or seeds are completely cleaned. It works extremely well doing it this way, and it really takes what could be a really painstaking operation down to a half an hour or so to do a couple of 5-gallon buckets of nuts. So I'll see if I can find a link someplace, but you can pick this up at any place, any hardware store. You use a power cord drill, Timmy. Ouch. And but I'll see if I can find like an Amazon link to this. I'll put a link to the forestry supplies. Bush Pro. This is really used for people who are out there planting trees. I like it when I'm harvesting apples or peaches or whatever it may be. Even if I'm at ground level, I could stay right in those locations that I want to get to and pick and pick and pick. And when these things get full, I just go over to the utility vehicle, dump them into bins, and then go right back to it. So it really cuts down the time. Thea has one that is a bucket or a pouch on the front, and she'll use that for berry picking. I think that's okay, but it isn't as comfortable when I'm getting up on ladders. I really don't want anything in front of my waist. I like these pouches being on the sides, and I like them being quite large. And you really need padded shoulder straps if you're going to get big, large pouches like this, because they're quite heavy. So I'll see if I can find something similar. I saw that there's a couple on Amazon that are similar to this as well, and I'll put a link to those in the description below. So I think that about covers it. Timmy and I have had quite an adventurous time here. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Timmy loves fan mail. And if you found this video of value, please give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And those cat lovers too. Thanks so much for watching, folks, and have a great day. Bye-bye now. Timmy, you're driving me nuts. I'm trying to do something here.